Hi everybody, welcome to Homesteading Off the Grid. Today I'm going to show you how to refurbish, sharpen, winterize some of your common gardening tools. Basically, it's going to be the same process for your gardening shears, for your hedge clippers, your pruning shears, for cutting your roses, your rose stems, other flowers, and even your limb clippers. Basically anything with a blade. Now, the main thing to keep in mind is this. When it comes to sharpening, the thing about the blade, the edge, is basically it is just that. It is an edge or an angle. And the sharper or the tighter you can make your angle, the sharper your blade is going to be and the better it's going to cut. Whether it's limb cutters, whether it's the pruners or the shears. Now, I'm going to start, and basically I'm just going to do these limb cutters for you for a couple of reasons. When I basically winterizing, I'll get that out of the way first. I'm going to clean and sharpen and then store some of these tools I won't be using for the winter in the garage. So then when spring rolls around and it's time to use them, if anything at most, I'll just have to use a rag to dust them off, get off cobwebs, but they're ready to go. And this is something good to do in the winter because you miss gardening, you want to be busy, but everything's dormant. Do this in the winter so you're not wasting your time doing it in the spring. But I'm going to start with these because we will not be storing our limb cutters for the winter because we burn wood with a wood stove in the winter to heat our home, and what we use for kindling mostly are just sticks. We have a lot of poplar trees. Poplar trees shed their limbs and sticks from their limbs regularly, and it makes perfect kindling. So we'll often use our limb cutters to chop kindling down to size. But as you can see, I've got two problems here. First of all, the blade is dull, and also there's a lot of sticking here. It's just kind of stuck together. I'm having to use a lot of might and muscle here to get these unstuck here. So we're going to go ahead and start. Make sure you have the tools you need available when you get started, and it's very simple. You know, if I only had to live with 3 tools, if I can only take 3 things to an island, what I would take would be WD-40, duct tape, and my Leatherman. As you know, if it's supposed to move and it doesn't, you use WD-40. If it moves and it's not supposed to, you use duct tape. And for everything in between, there's a Leatherman, because this is a multi-tool that has dozens and dozens, literally dozens of tools on it. So always keep that handy. And then, of course, to sharpen, we need to make sure we have a sharpening stone. I like the Lansky Puck, approximately $7 on Amazon, and it has multiple surfaces on it, so you can get even some of the hardest to get blades, like on these. I may or may not need a wrench in the event I have to take this apart. We'll find out when we get into it. And then, of course, I always like to keep a crayon because you never know when a crayon might come in handy. I might get halfway through what I'm working on here, have an annoying neighbor show up that I have to run off. So I always keep my crayon there before I start just about anything. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And what I want to do first is I want to loosen this up. Obviously, there's some corrosion going on here where the nut is. That's why this is so difficult to work. Now, as you start with any of these, you want to use just a rag to clean them off as best you can. This has already been somewhat cleaned off. And you can tell I started to sharpen it, and I thought, nah, let's show the folks how we do this, so just in case they have a similar situation. So, as in life, the best thing to do most times is the easiest thing. I think it's called Occam's razor, somebody's razor. The simplest solution, or the most... the answer that makes the most sense is usually the answer you're looking for. What's that called? Somebody's razor. And I cut myself with a razor shaving for this video. Occam's razor, I think. I might be wrong. So anyway, I'm going to start first with WD-40 to see if I can loosen this up. Because 100% of the time, this works 90% of the time. So this might save me some time. So I'm simply going to apply some WD-40 here where the connection for the bolt is, and then I'll work it. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh yeah, it's working already. And just to make it work even better, I'm gonna put some down there in the middle. Gosh, WD-40, duct tape, and a Leatherman. If I got stuck on an island and I had those three things, I would be a-okay. And you're probably saying, what about a knife? Well, you know there's a knife on a Leatherman and a saw and even tweezers. So this is going to work. I didn't need those paper towels anyway. Now, if this hadn't worked, the next solution would have been, of course, to use a pair of pliers to grab that and hold that steady. And some of these tools you can take apart, some you can't. But in the event that if you don't have WD-40 and it's not working for you, and you're saying, oh, yeah, you're talking about that Leatherman, let's put our money where our mouth is here. Let's see, I think this one here will probably do it. I think this one. Check this out. This is so awesome. Open up the Leatherman. I find the unit that has all these different adapters. And then, yeah, I think this one, just go like that, close it down. Perfect. It's got a hold of it. So if I needed to, I could take that bolt off using these two tools. And I just wanted to show you that to prove that all you need is WD-40 duct tape and a Leatherman. Now I'm not going to do this because it's not necessary at this point, but that Leatherman is really nice to have. So this is loose enough, so we've got that problem resolved. Now what we need to do is work on that sharpened blade. So this is where I'm going to open this up. Now if I wanted to, I could take this apart and get a better... I have no problem getting to this entire blade, so there's no need to take it apart. So what I'm going to do, now I want to point this out to you. When you sharpen a blade, again, like I said, it's all about angles. We want to get the tightest, sharpest angle where this part of the blade comes up and meets this part of the blade as we can. And so the way to do that is to make sure that we maintain contact with the bevel of the blade with our sharpening stone at all time. Now, I'm going to apply just a bit of WD-40 to my stone. You can use water, you can use vegetable oil, you can use spit. One of our subscribers commented recently that when they know they're going to be sharpening their tools, they'll actually soak their stone in water overnight. That's interesting. There's so many ways to do the same thing. There's never only just one way to do something. So now here, I'm going to just come down, making sure to maintain contact with the blade at all times. Just so you can get a close-up view of that. And then see that? That's what I like about this Lansky puck. I can come with this edge right here and maintain that point of contact the whole time. And now guys, always be careful, always be safe. Don't do it so fast. Don't get so ahead of yourself that, you know, you slide off of here and cut your finger. You want to watch the tip too, because that cuts into the sticks or the limbs you're working on as well. So make sure to come all the way down and get that tip. Now, the more passes you make, the sharper your blade will be. And I also want to point out, because I didn't point this out when I started, but this stone, probably like the stone you have, or if you're going out to buy a stone, you'll notice most stones have two sized grains. There's a larger size grain and then there's a finer size grain. You want to start sharpening with the larger of the two size grains. And then once you've done several passes, now I don't know, I haven't been counting, but maybe I've done a dozen passes here. You want to flip your stone over and go with the more fine grain, and this is going to give you a more, and just to make sure I'm doing it right, I'm going to put a little bit of my WD-40 on here. And again, you can use oil, spit, water, and then I'm just going to come right here. The finer grain is going to give it a finer edge. And again, you want to maintain contact the entire pass with that blade. It's a simple process, and doing this in the winter, again, is a good way to spend some of your downtime when you're wishing you could be out there gardening, but everything's dormant. So by the time spring rolls back around and we're ready to get back to it, our shears and pruners and everything will be razor sharp. Now, I could do this for quite a while longer, and if I did, it would make it quite a bit sharpener. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we're just going to go ahead and have a little try at it and see how it's doing here now. Occam's razor, that's what I was trying to think of. Occam's razor. The solution that makes the most sense is usually the correct solution. So I'm going to wipe that off. Now, if I had a leather belt, I could strap it, but it's not absolutely necessary. But you can tell the rust is gone. Now, for the rest of this rust on here, at some point this winter, I will take some sandpaper and simply spray over with WD-40, give a light rubbing with a fine-grained sandpaper, and that'll take that off, and that'll allow my tool to last quite a bit longer. But as you saw at the beginning of this demonstration, I couldn't even do this smoothly. The WD-40 took care of that. Couldn't cut into the stick, and it's not a hard stick. I want to show you whether or not our sharpening method works. So let's give it a try. And let's see here. Let's grab into it there and cuts right through it. No problem whatsoever. You see it's a nice sharp cut. It wasn't pinched off. It's a pretty good slice. So what I'll do is I'll just use the same method with my other tools. I'll use my rag to wipe them down. This one can screw off, but in the event it couldn't, if there was anything sticking, again, I would just use my WD-40 to loosen it up. Use my Lansky puck stone to sharpen it the way I sharpen this one. Now these, once they are clean, they'll be stored for winter. They'll be refurbished, sharpened, winterized, stored away. And that's all there is to it, folks. So I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you to all of those. Thank you to all of those of you who already have. And we'll see you for more next time from here at Homesteading Off the Grid.